Hello and welcome to the Dreaming and Doing podcast with me, Nicky Raby. I'm an actor, coach, writer, speaker, podcaster and a mum. And in my coaching work, I work with creatives, personal brands, freelancers and small businesses. In my podcast, I talk about success, but not in a traditional sense. I have conversations with those who have built a business from something they love or who have made a pivot in their career. Also those who have built a brand or a job that maybe didn't exist when they were at school, and they found a way to monetize their skills, talents and expertise. I've spoken to loads of incredible people, coaches, designers, journalists, app creators, magazine editors, bloggers, content creators, authors, and all-round movers and shakers. I ask the questions that you want to know the answer to. So how they started, about money, saying no, saying yes, pitching, presenting, putting yourself out there even though it terrifies you, standing out in a busy online world, growing, scaling and making your work for you and your circumstances. The show notes are always at nickyraby.com/podcast and the conversation continues across social media, often on Instagram, my favourite platform, at Nicky Raby. Thanks so much for listening. It's great to have you with us. In today's episode, I'm talking to Sally Lovett. Hailing from a background in marketing and advertising, Sally founded Stretching the City in 2010. As a certified yoga teacher since 2010, a nutritional health coach and the author of The Wellbeing Guide to London, featured in Vogue and The Guardian no less, it's safe to say that Sally knows the wellness scene inside and out. We talk about lots of things, growing a company, wellness, how we incorporate the two, and how we serve other people and we hold that space for other people in a giving, loving, kind way, but also how we can pull that back for ourselves as well. Sometimes we can feel like self-care or taking care of ourselves is some sort of selfish act. I don't know where this notion came from, but it really doesn't help anyone. And if you go back to episode 3, there's a brilliant interview with Susie Redding about self-care and really thinking about how it can benefit other people, but also that you have a slice of the pie as well. If you want to join in the conversation, please come over to Instagram at Nicky Raby, and you can find the show notes as usual, nickyraby.com/podcast. I've made this declaration of wanting to get 1 million plays by the end of the year. So if you fancy helping out and rating and review and subscribing and sharing with a friend, I would really appreciate it. I love reading all your comments and feedback about the podcast, and I'm so glad that you're enjoying the conversations. Thanks so much for listening. And here is today's episode. Without further ado, here's my chat with Sally. Hi, Sally. Welcome to the podcast.
Oh, hi, Nikki. Thanks so much. Thanks for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. So would you mind introducing yourself and what you do?
Yeah, sure. So my name's Sally Lovett, and I'm the founder and director of Stretching the City. So Stretching the City is a corporate wellbeing company. So basically means we go into offices and we do healthy things like yoga, meditation and massage and nutrition, and all sorts of other things in between.
Fantastic. And how did that start for you? Because it's your company, isn't it? How did that entrepreneurial launching your own gig begin for you?
It's all mine. And it was quite a kind of gradual, organic thing, really. So I started off working in marketing and advertising. I did that for a few years in London, and then I went self-employed freelance at the grand old age of 25, which kind of looking back was quite self-assured of me.
Age when you're kind of just figuring it out, going, yeah, sure, I know how to do this. Yeah, great.
Which I guess in a way, at that age, if as long as you can pay your rent, you don't really have much else to worry about, do you? It's, I certainly didn't kind of have like a mortgage or dependables or anyone else to think about. It's just like, yeah, I can do this. I just kind of sort of had this kind of disdain for the monotony of 9 to 5 and just thought, I just want this kind of freedom and flexibility for my working life, I guess, kind of from quite an early point. So, so went freelance, was doing freelance marketing, copywriting, and essentially that kind of gave me the freedom to then go and do a yoga teacher training. So I packed myself off to Bali in 2010, did a yoga teacher training then, came back, and in between still doing freelance marketing, I started teaching yoga, got a few corporate classes, and it just kind of grew from there. So bear in mind, this was kind of 8 years ago. So this was before everyone and anyone in London was a yoga teacher, which is a little bit how it can be now.
Before everybody was like 70% green juice.
Yes, exactly. So I was kind of getting more classes than I necessarily kind of could physically do, or I kind of wanted to do. I never really set out that I wanted to be a full-time yoga teacher. So I started outsourcing them to other teachers I knew, and it just kind of grew from there. So then I had clients saying, oh, do you do Pilates, or oh, do you do meditation? And again, and we kind of just gradually grew the team. And now, 8 years on, so it's now my full-time gig. So I don't really do much more marketing or writing. And we've got over about 70 people who are working for us. All kind of, all varies. Some people might just work for us, do a workshop like once a month, whereas others might be doing 3 or 4 classes a week. We've probably had about over 150 clients working with all sorts of different people. That's where we are now in a kind of whistle-stop tour of how we got there.
Fantastic. Gosh, that's brilliant. And did you understand that there was such a need for this in terms of the corporate world? Did you know that you were kind of onto a winner?
I mean, obviously, the whole kind of well-being sphere was definitely growing. It was growing in London, definitely on a sort of personal, individual level. People were getting much more into their wellness and their fitness and their food. And that was certainly infiltrating into the workplace as well. So it's just gradually been kind of creeping up the HR agenda a little bit more every year. Now in 2018, there's definitely much more of a focus on it. So I knew it was growing, but it wasn't necessarily like this huge trend that had just come out of nowhere that I was piggybacking on. But it was a bit of a slow burner, but it was definitely on the way up.
Yeah. Did you always sort of have an idea of wanting to have your own business? Did you know that you had those skills from an early age?
I don't know, looking back, not really. I mean, my parents, they both, they sort of worked in like bookkeeping and accountancy. So they had quite kind of steady jobs working for big companies. My mum worked, so I definitely kind of had the aspiration of a kind of working mum. And no, at uni, I think I knew I wanted to sort of work in something creative, and kind of had my own advertising, which is what I went into to begin with. But I think I sort of soon realised once I got into the working world that, I did kind of have this sort of entrepreneurial spirit, and I did like that freedom and flexibility. So it kind of evolved once I got into the working world, but I didn't set out when I was younger thinking I want my own business. And I think maybe kids now, or people coming into the workplace now, probably, will probably see a bit more of that attitude. Whereas I think probably, when we were at school and uni, that kind of aspiration of being an entrepreneur and being self-employed, it wasn't quite as prevalent as it is nowadays, I'd say.
No, it was one of like being an entrepreneur was like something that one of the wacky kid with the multicolored socks would do, but it wasn't available for everybody by any means.
Yeah, I mean, even things like, I know at my stepson's school, he's 10, coming on 11, and they've got like Young Enterprise Week, and, I can't remember what he made, but, they make something, they've got to sell it, and our neighbour, she's 16, she was telling me about this business project she'd done where she was kind of researching, building her own smoothie brand. And I just thought, I can't really remember doing anything like that. But that's brilliant that it's kind of much more on the agenda and the syllabus for kids nowadays, but it wasn't really as much for us.
Yeah, definitely. How did you start to, I guess, build the culture and the sort of the rules and regulations of a company? Because I think it's one of those things of, it's fine when you're doing it for yourself, or you can have some of those rules just in your head going, oh, okay, fine, I need to send this bit of paperwork. And how did you start to make it more systematized and much more of a serious type situation?
Yeah, that's a really good point, because, especially in the early days, a lot of it was in my head. And I can remember when I had to do my accounts, I wouldn't have the systems in place throughout the year. So, coming up to doing a tax return, it would be a couple of days of chaos, and I'd be searching for emails, looking for invoices and receipts. I'd have all these different piles for different months, like all around the room. It was just chaos. But obviously, as it grew, I had to get more organised. And then, well, as it grew on scale, and then, when I had my baby a year ago as well, I had to kind of hand over and get it out of my head into systems and documents. So really, it's also just been a case of kind of just using amazing resources and tools that we've got at our fingertips. So things, using Xero for my accounts is a bit of a game changer. Just things like Google Calendar and Evernote, just simple things that we've got at our fingertips, but can really, really make running a business and working with other people a lot easier.
Definitely. What were some of the practical things that you did in terms of or maternity proofing your business? How did you make that move? Because I think sometimes there is that pressure that we all just have to continue to be the superwoman and doing all the things that we did before. And certainly in the early stages of motherhood, I was not doing all the things that I'd done before, and far from it. I just wasn't able to do that. What kind of practical steps did you take to make sure that you could continue and not lose the momentum that you'd built previously?
I think there's a few things. I think firstly, it was just recognizing that this was going to be a period, of maybe 6 months or a year or however long it might be, that it was okay just to stay at a steady level. Work might drop a little bit, but we didn't necessarily want, we weren't looking to really grow and expand during this time. It was hopefully a time where we would just at the very least stay level. So just recognizing that, and that kind of takes the pressure off a bit as well, knowing that it's okay sometimes just to coast, that you're not always got to be sprinting and pushing. And really, kind of delegating. So I've got a brilliant operations manager, Helen. So we just upped her hours so I could go on mat leave. So she was basically running all the day-to-day operations. And that was a kind of letting go and kind of letting go of control from my point of view. But actually, it was brilliant. And she's super organised and she's done a great job. And she's now doing that now. So it's, so now I've come back working. Helen's she's still looking after all the day-to-day because she's just doing such a great job, and also then it's just freed me up to have more of a strategy and business development role, which is really, as a business owner, what I should be doing. So there was handing over, delegating, and then, like I said before, just having all these systems in place. So just making sure you've got everything written down, all your documents, you've got all your clients looked after, you've got all the right contact details, you've got all all the teachers looked after, just communicating. Everyone knows what's happening, who the contact is, when you'll next be in touch. Everyone knows when they're going to get paid. So just really kind of having it all written down beforehand. And
all the glamorous points of business.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, and it's just then you can just feel more self-assured, just knowing that everyone is kind of looked after, everyone knows what's happening, and you've got someone responsible who's looking after things, and they're ticking over.
Definitely. When people work in, I guess because I do this with sort of self-development and business strategy and things like that, I need to make sure that I've got those windows where I'm actually taking care of my own self-development, and I'm sort of working on myself and not just always providing for other people. How have you built your own wellness into doing this whilst you have a business based on it?
Yeah, so this has obviously changed quite a bit sort of after having a baby. So as you know, kind of pre-baby, I'd obviously you have a lot more time to just have a nice gentle morning routine and maybe go out to a yoga class and just sort of make the most of being self-employed, where you can have that time out in the day to go and do nice things for yourself. So nowadays, sort of post-baby, where, not only have I got kind of almost this new role of strategy, business development, and loads that I want to get through, I'm certainly feeling kind of much more motivated now, sort of almost a year on. So really, it's a case of kind of using that time where I have childcare, but realizing that I don't have to be hustling and working all the time. And that's, to be honest, it's been quite a recent thing. When I first, when Max first went into nursery, and I was thinking, right, okay, is it nursery? I'm paying for childcare. I have to use this time to work. I have to be trying to get money in. And it was just really exhausting. So actually, I've just realized, yes, certainly during the time of childcare, I've got to use the time wisely. And yes, I have to work. But there can also be pockets of this time where I have to and need to do something for myself. So whether that's going to the gym or going to yoga class or going for a swim or just sitting out in the garden with a coffee and just having a bit of thinking time, just getting away from my screen and realising I don't need to be 24/7 hustling. That's been a bit of a game changer, and that's been a learning.
Yeah, that's come up a lot in the podcast, actually, that sense of you're not just always like working hard in bunny ears, of sort of if you're sitting, putting in the legwork at your laptop, sometimes you need to have that sense of actually having that time and that space to stand back and have a look at what's going on and what you want to do going forward.
Yeah, definitely so. And actually, I find all my best ideas and inspiration, they never come when I'm sat at the kitchen table staring at my laptop screen, so you often have to, remind yourself of that. And yeah, going away and, doing something else for a little while is actually going to be a lot more beneficial than just sitting there almost kind of, I'd never cold call, but, still emailing clients, sending begging emails. I kind of hate it when I'm in that space where I feel like I'm sort of being a bit desperate and hustling. There's always better, other things to do that which are much better for yourself.
Definitely. I did a post on Instagram the other day, something about like the amount of times where I have to run dripping wet from the shower and like scribble something down in my notebook because the idea has finally made sense, and I'm like, oh, I've got it, I don't want to lose it, quick.
Yeah, definitely. I know I've started like sending myself little voice notes or just jotting something down on Evernote, and then you just capture it. You know it's there. You don't necessarily have the time to give it much more thought, but at least it's written down and you can kind of evolve it a bit later on.
Exactly. How have you kept yourself in that sort of innovative headspace, I guess? Have you worked with people? Have you done more business training? How do you keep yourself like moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, this is something I feel I'm really working on at the moment, because I think one of the things that I struggle a bit with self-employment. I say self-employment, I am employed sort of by my company, but, freelance, self-employed. You're going to have those peaks and troughs, and you're definitely going to have times where you just feel a bit flat and unmotivated. Yeah. And it doesn't mean that you're doing a bad job or you've picked the wrong business or you're bad at what you do. It just means you're just having a bit of a lull, and that's going to happen in whatever job you do. And I also find, working by yourself, it can be quite solitary. And I think, a lot of people, they often, they kind of often glamorize like working for yourself and having your own business. And, don't get me wrong, it's brilliant. There's loads of benefits, but it can also be really solitary, especially, my first few jobs were in advertising. It was so sociable. Sometimes you're kind of sat there at your kitchen table by yourself. I feel like you're going to
feel like being grounded.
Yeah, kind of start sort of talking to the plants. So what I've realised is, yes, there are those times where I do need to reach out and find some motivation and inspiration, which isn't always that easy when you're working by yourself. So, reading books, listening to podcasts, just kind of going out there trying to find inspiring people and just sort of listening to what they've done and how they've got there. And, what's always great is there's always a bit of a story. It's never a really easy route from A to B. There's always struggles and challenges and, other people experiencing their own lack of motivation. In kind of investing in a bit of self-development, that's also a bit of realization. When you work for yourself, you're not going to have someone from HR ring you up and say, we've got this budget for your learning and development this year, so what do you want to do? Or we're going to send you off on this course. No one else is going to do it. You have to do it. So I'm doing a course at the moment with Step Up School, doing their online course, just trying to get out and go to more events, looking for a mentor. So just kind of constantly just trying to build that network, which I think is really important, not only as a business owner, but, as a new mum as well.
Absolutely. How have you made that shift from, perhaps the slow morning, like you would have done a bit of yoga or whatever before you had your son, to, oh my goodness, we've all got to get out the door, and then sort of switch modes into being a working mum?
Yeah, I think, it's an ongoing. I don't think I've ever nailed this. I'm sure.
What? There isn't a perfect solution? Oh, no.
Oh, I can't believe it. I think it's really just a case of trying to stay present with what I'm doing. And of course, there's always going to be there'll be times where I've just got to be scrolling through an email or quickly replying to something whilst, trying to entertain him as well. But really, it's just, when I'm with him, I'm with him. And then when I'm not, I'm not, and I'm just focused as much as I can, when he's at nursery or, really it's kind of nursery and naps, they're kind of the key times where, at least now I feel, he's coming up for 1, the days are a bit more predictable in terms of I know when he'll sleep.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, I remember that time being golden when he sort of suddenly went to 3 meals a day, when I was like, oh my goodness, I feel like I'm winning at this. I know what today's going to look like, rather than just having one of those random ones where you're just sitting on the sofa all day.
And then that's what's so hard, and it's so chaotic. Whereas now, if a client wants to have a call, I can pretty much say, okay, let's talk, obviously in nursery, that's great. But otherwise, like, okay, let's talk at 2:00 because he should, obviously there's been, the odd time where that hasn't happened. It's just been like, okay, quick, iPad, dummy.
Yeah, exactly.
Up until sort of 6-7 months, he'd only nap during the day, either out and about or on me. So that was really tough. I just felt I literally couldn't get anything done. So I feel like I've got a bit more time now where I can just be present, whether I'm with him or not with him. So yeah.
Have you since become, because I met you just before you were about to go on maternity leave, has it changed the way that you view life or what you want to do with the business or anything that you wanted to let go of or have more of? Did it change your perspective?
Yeah, it did. I mean, again, maybe not the first 6 months or so where I was still kind of wading through the fog, but definitely in more recent months, it's a bit of a cliche, but I do feel more motivated. I feel a lot more focused. I've got a lot less time in my week to get stuff done. So the time I'm working, I have to be focused. So it's definitely kind of honed more of my goals, kind of more of my plans, and really just focusing on what's important to grow the business. It's also kind of made me redefine what success is to me as well. And part of the kind of CIPD I've been doing at the moment is the case of kind of sitting down and being like, okay, what is success? And yes, it does, there is a monetary value, but also, success is, to me, kind of having that freedom and flexibility and being able to fit my work around my lifestyle and my family. And that might not look, that might be completely different to someone else's version of success, but that's kind of what it looks like for me. Just kind of defining success and being more focused and honed in my business.
Yeah. What would you say to people who were maybe, 25 and going through this sort of sense of, I actually feel like it's time for me to make the jump? What advice would be useful?
I think,
if that's to say that we ever did listen to advice when we were 25, I'm not sure that I did by any means. Like, no, I'm doing my own thing. Leave me alone.
Yeah, I think for 25-year-old nowadays, there's so much more about, there's so much more out there about kind of having a side hustle, being entrepreneurial, like Emma Gannon's doing some great stuff around like the multi-hyphen method. So I think there's this real culture of, go for it. Like, explore different things. It doesn't mean you've necessarily got to kind of jack in your job, but you can have the time and, you've got all the opportunities where you could try out like a little side business on the side. So just be brave and take advantage of all these opportunities and tools, you've got at your fingertips. And then also, what's the harm in, again, if you don't kind of have that mortgage or dependables or, why not just jump and just see what will happen? I'm a firm believer in kind of jump and the net will appear. I've been working for myself, I've been self-employed for nearly 10 years now, and I've never not been able to kind of pay my rent or mortgage. It's some stuff is all, even when you've had those months where you've just thought, oh God, things are looking a bit sparse. I do think things always come up, it works out okay. You just have to have a bit of faith.
Definitely, and I feel like the more I do it and the more I'm in this space, my recovery time is much quicker, rather than sort of going, oh gosh, that didn't work out, or they didn't get back to my email. And this is probably more before kids, but that sense of like, I'm just going to think about this for 8 days and then like make my next move. I think now I'm a bit like, okay, that didn't work, next, move on. And my resilience levels have definitely increased.
Definitely so. Yeah, and you just don't have as much time. You don't have time to kind of wallow and feel sorry for yourself. Like, fail, learn from it, and then just move on.
Yeah, absolutely. Because, you've just got to keep moving forward. And I always have this thing, sounds very bleak, but like if I died tomorrow, like I want it to sort of count for something, as in I don't want to be like still my last final hours on the planet mourning the fact that somebody didn't get back to my email. It just feels as such a waste of a life.
Yeah, I know, we all do it though, but yes.
Yes, totally. Has there been a book or a resource that you just always come back to, something that maybe came at a game-changing moment and you're like, oh, that was so good, or that was the beginning of X, Y, and Z?
I'd say, well, in terms of a book that I often sort of mention to clients and kind of use and quote quite a bit is Thrive by Arianna Huffington.
Yes, it's a great book.
So that was just a good book. It was kind of probably the first book really about kind of well-being in the workplace, but also well-being as a pillar of success. So, you know, she kind of argues that success isn't just sort of money and status and power, you know, which is kind of before, I guess, those kind of masculine terms of definitions of success, but actually well-being, you know, is definitely definition of success. So, yeah, that's a really good book that kind of cemented what the message that I was trying to promote with my business, and, you know, what we were doing and why we were doing it. So that's you know, and then since then there's obviously, you know, there's been loads more, and there's a podcast, which has written another book about sleep, which, you know, is one of our most popular workshops. So yeah, that's just a really pivotal book that we can kind of backs up a lot of what we do. And then I guess also, you know, kind of where, you know, when I look back to how I've evolved from working in marketing and advertising to now working in the wellbeing space, you know, the pivotal point, I guess, really was going to do that yoga teacher training. You know, I'm not teaching at the moment and don't really necessarily have any plans to, but, you know, alongside growing Stretch and City, I did a weekly yoga class in North London, you know, which I loved and did up until I had Max. So really, I guess a lot of the yoga learnings and yoga texts, that was, you know, I still kind of absorb them and rely on them, and, you know, all those teachings were kind of really pivotal in that shift to what I'm doing now.
Well, all those sort of like Billy basic things are to breathe. You must remember to breathe, or where are you breathing from? And all those, like, my yoga teacher always talks about that sense of like easing into the pose. And I think, you know, we carry so much tension around in our bodies, especially if we're just sitting, you know, behind our laptop all day. It's just those basic things that can make such an impact if we listen to them and actually do them.
I know, and I think we forget. You know, we forget that, you know, obviously I'm, you know, a lot of friends and people I work with are maybe in the wellbeing space or self-development. So, you know, when we talk about things like, oh, you know, breathe from your belly, or deep belly breathing, or, you know, it's all kind of common knowledge to us. We don't really blink an eyelid, but you forget, you know, you go into some workplaces and, you know, we might do a short meditation, or, yeah, you know, some deep belly breathing. And you can just kind of see like the light bulbs coming on. You know, people, oh my God, wow, I never, you know, God, I never realised. And, you know, I remember I just taught a corporate yoga class years ago, and a woman kind of came up to me afterwards and she just said, oh, I really feel like I'm in my body. You know, like she couldn't believe it. And I was like, yeah, you know, like, you know, you just forget that isn't kind of the common state to many people. You know, we ran yoga retreats for years, and people would sort of say, oh my God, like, how did you make this? You know, it was like, well, you just kind of blend up a bit of beetroot and hummus, you know, like, but yeah, you know, you forget what sort of common knowledge to us is actually a really kind of new, fascinating thing to a lot of other people. It's amazing kind of watching people not necessarily make transformations, but certainly just kind of discover new ways of kind of looking after themselves.
And to that sense of like actually well-being and health is for everybody. It's not just necessarily for the elite who can wear the fancy yoga trousers that are 90 quid, but it's the trousers, like the leggings, that's what I mean. But like that actually those small little things that you can do to take control of your health and how they can work for you each and every day.
Definitely so. And, you know, this is kind of, I do have my slight disillusions with the wellbeing world. You know, you sort of joke about the £90 leggings. You know, obviously, you know, we've been in the wellbeing space for kind of over, you know, almost 10 years. So we've seen it evolve. And it's sometimes that kind of smug aspect of it that I really just roll my eyes at and just, you know, think, oh, do I really want to be part of this sometimes? So that's why, you know, when we promote wellbeing, you know, we try and do it in a really just like acceptable and accessible way that doesn't preach. We like in our nutrition workshops, like we never suggest like a restrictive diet. You know, in our yoga classes, we'll always kind of offer different options of poses. You know, we never want someone to feel rubbish because they can't do a headstand or something like that. Like it really doesn't matter. So yeah, we just try and make it really accessible to everyone. You know, and certainly not smug and holier than thou by any means.
Yeah, I remember doing a session or a class a little while ago, and it was really competitive for some reason, and I was just feeling particularly tired and sort of feeling that sense of, oh, I just want to do one of those slow ones. And the woman next to me was huffing and puffing and actually sort of did a headstand, even though we weren't supposed to be doing headstands, but went onto my mat. And so she had her like hands between mine, and I was like, this feels really weird, and I just don't know. I was very British about it, like, excuse me, sorry, could you just get off my mat, please?
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's kind of fascinating, really, the whole sort of wellbeing scene, especially in London, how it has evolved. You know, especially yoga, and you know, what you'll often find is when you talk to a lot of yoga teachers or people practicing, and quite a lot of people actually start with maybe hot yoga or those quite intensive forms. And more often than not, they sometimes use that to kind of get on the mat, and then their journey often kind of gravitates towards the more slower, softer stuff as they get into it a bit more, and they realise like, I see. It doesn't always happen, and if you want to go to a yoga class and really sweat and have a really tough workout, then good for you. And in my opinion, that isn't necessarily what I would sort of deem yoga, but each to their own.
Quite, and I feel like I'm just not very good when I'm in a world of show offs. I'm like, oh no, I can't do any of the things.
And it's also, when I was younger, I loved it, really hard, intense classes. Whereas now, I'm like, get me a yin class, get my legs up the wall for a stretch.
I went to this brilliant yin class, and there was this guy just literally snoring. I think he was a new dad, lying on his mat, like, so tired, and the teacher just almost looked at him like, I think he's going to have a really great sleep for the duration of the hour session.
That's a sign of people fell asleep in Shavasana. I always think it was always a job well done if they did.
Exactly. Where would you like to be in 5 years in business and in life?
You know what? I'm not that much of a long-term planner. I'm often definitely a bit more of a short-term planner. But I think what I'd like to be doing, I'd certainly still love Stretch the City to be thriving and growing, and I guess really kind of benefiting from hopefully good systems in place and kind of running itself, or being run by other people. And I think really I'd like to take what I've learned from growing and running Stretch the City and probably apply it to another business or businesses. I think sometimes also when you work for yourself or run your own business, and I don't kind of have like an exit strategy, but you sometimes think, well, is this what I'm going to be doing forever? Because, we're going to be working for a long time.
Yeah.
So, I'm super passionate about Stretch City and love running it, but do I want to be running it for the next 30 years? Like, I don't know. I'd like to do some other things. I'd like to take what I've learned and apply it to growing some other businesses. I think I definitely want to stay in kind of an entrepreneurial role and keep on growing things, exploring and just, kind of getting involved in other spaces and just learning new things.
It's brilliant. Yeah, and I think just to remember that as well when we're all in such a hurry to, get to the next 1,000 on Instagram or build the thing or launch the whatever and write our 17th book. Actually, our working career is really long, and we've got plenty of time, hopefully, to do all the things we want to do.
Absolutely, yeah. It's a marathon, not a sprint.
And I think that thing of, 20 years ago, I was 16, and it's, I was a completely and utterly, well, not a different person entirely, but I knew so much less than I do now, which is, thank goodness, the way it should be.
Yeah, and of course, think of what we'll know and be doing in, I don't know, another 10 years' time.
Oh my goodness, it blows my mind a little bit. If people want to come and connect with you and find out more and see what you're all about, where should they go?
Yeah, sure. So just head on over to the website at stretchingthecity.com, and you can find us on social at Stretching the City.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Sally. I've loved chatting, and I feel like I'm going to get a little YouTube channel yoga situation going on tonight, because the temptation is like, well, I've done yoga today. Oh no, I've just talked about it. I haven't actually done a class.
Yeah, that's why we're so lucky. There's so much brilliant stuff online. So exactly, especially if you're a new mum and you can't make it to a class, then there's no excuse not to roll out your yoga mat in your living room instead.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I've loved the chat.
Nicky. It's really good to chat.
Bye. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed it, and I would love to hear what you thought of the episode and share any takeaways with me. Come and find me across social media at Nicky Raby, or you can visit the podcast page, nickyraby.com/podcast.